माय डियर फ्रेंड, तो आज मैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट के और भी एक स्टेट के बारे में पढ़ूंगा। तो इस स्टेट का नाम है मणिपुर। मणिपुर तो मणिपुर को कहे जाते हैं ज्वेल ऑफ इंडिया। Manipur is a beautiful state that surrounded by the hills ranges and was rightly called the jewel of India by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, known as the Kangle Park or the Sangli Park, Golden Land. Two, it is the inhabitant. It has an the area of 22,327 square kilometer and is the bounded by Nagaland in the north, Assam in the west, Mizoram in the southwest, and the Myanmar in the east and the southeast. The valley is the plateau is it is the height above the sea level is about the 20 2600 feet. The hills and the mountains of the Manipurs are the offshoot for the Himalayas, which form the northern boundary of India. The state had the state has the populations of 27.22 lakhs census in 2011. Land and peoples. Manipur comprises the 16 districts: Imphal East, Imphal West, Taubal, Bishnupur, Jiribam, Kaksing in the valley, and the Ukhrul, Surasanpur, Sandal, Sangapati, Tamenglong, Kankopukki, Kamjong, Tanglopal, Noni, and the Fairjewel in the hills. These districts are divided into the subdivisions and the community or the tribal development blocks, while the villages in the valley districts are grouped under the Panchayat and Jila Parishad for the development purpose. The hills districts have been provided with the autonomous district council to administer the social and development affairs. About 41.4% of Manipuris and the Hindus Vaishnavis school of the Hinduism becomes the dominant forces in Manipur in the 18th century, when King the Pamhiba or Raja Garib Niwas declared it as the official state religion. This was the Vaishnavism of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhakti preacher of Bengal, who is the stress on the Krishna Bhakti period to the introductions of the Vaishnava Hinduism, and so to the some the extent even now the Moitis and the largest groups of the people in Manipur worshipped the Sanamahi, the sun god, the yearly the Manipuris worships as a supreme deity. Langing through the solarel and the follow there the ancestral the women less the ethnic details are worshipper in the sacred groups the Hindu population is the concentrated in the Manipur Valley. The Christianity is the religions of the majority of the population in the hills districts, where it was introduced by the Christian missionaries in the 19th century in the valley. There is also the section of the Manipuri Muslim known locally as the Bengals, who belong to the Sunni sect. The staple food of the peoples in the Manipur is rice, fish, and the vegetables. Nagari, the types of permanent fish is the favorite food items. Iromba is a special delicacy consisting of the nagri and the bamboo shoot. Among the sweet kabuk made of the morales and rice is the notable country win Sekmai named after the village of the same name is in the north of the valley is also quite popular. Some of the other popular dishes and the preparations are Yongsak Singju, Bara is the kind of the pokora, Bora a kind of pokora, Kangzhou, etc. Manipur is the distinguished by it is the unique and the traditional custom. The traditional Manipuri custom for the woman is the wrap around called the Panek and the Inafi. Traditional dress of the man from the valley is the dhoti, kurta, and white pagri turbans. The tribal people of the Manipuris wear the wave around the along with the solo with the traditional tribal pattern. The colorful costumes are the worn during the festivals and the dances. There are the separate costumes for each of these. The patriots and the kumins are the traditional costumes for the rasila, the classical dance performed by the professional and the accomplished dancer. Other the traditional dress worn during the festival dance are cooks, foods, etc. Some other dress from used by the different tribes in the Manipuri are the Shizonabal, Nine Topi, and the Pirzani. Manipuri has the rich state of the traditional games and the sport. The modern games of Sagol, uh, Kangziai, Polo is the reported to have the originate in Manipur. The games is the play in the both the style, the old Manipuri style, the Pana, and the new style Polo in the past. It had the support of the rules and the nobles. Another popular local sport in the Hyang Tanaba boat race, normally held in the month of November at the Loktal Lake and Thangapat. The boat used in this the game are called the Hyang Hiran. The peoples of the Manipuri believe that the boat are the indoor with the spiritual powers. The Mukna Manipuri wrestling is also another popular and highly regarded game which they enjoyed royal patrons in the olden times. This game is the play between two max the revival by the display of the physical strength and skill. Today, the state is well the known for is the unique and the uh, exemplary love for the sport. At the last number of the player from the state represent the country in the national games, Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, Olympic, etc. The players that participate in hockey, football, boxing, uh, weightlifting, judo, etc. The potential of the sport is the very bright, and with the adequate and the proper infrastructure, sport can become the major activities for the youth empowerment in the state. The Manipur in the Indro with the rich the natural resources, loose green forests in the hills, the fertile alluvial soil in the river basin, a swift flowing river and the stream, the large number of the freshwater lakes, including the Loktak and the optimum climate influence the economic of the state. Manipuri economy is the based on the agriculture, forest produce, the industries, meaning business and the tourism. Agriculture has a significant share in the state domestic product and provides the largest share of the employment. The majority of the population in the Manipur lives in the villages, and the over two-thirds of it is the directly or the indirectly dependent on the agriculture for the subsistence. About 9/10 of the total cultivations area is the under the creelels, mainly rice, maize, in the hills, pulses, uh, wild sheep, particularly the mustard and the sunflower, as well as the sugarcane is the grown in the various part of the state on the limited skill. Food and the cash the crops are the grow mainly in the valley region. The state is well the sweet for the horticulture due to it is the hilly uh, terrain and climate. The last variety of the vegetable and the spices grow in the valley and the hills. The central valley is the ideally suitable for the fruit like the papaya, banana and mango, and the hilly areas for the pineapple, orange, banana, pear, peaches and the lemon. Orange, banana and the lemon grow well on the western hills, especially in Tamenglong district. Peara, peach and the plum are the grow in the Senapati and the Ukharul district. Pineapple is the woodly grow on the hills slopes in Surasandupur and the Sandal district. Cilias and the ginger are cultivated on the commercial scale in Surasandupur districts and the potato in the Tamenglong district. Handicraft is the another important industry in the state. It is the one the unique identity among the various as the craft of the country. Cloth embroidery and the bamboo, ivory, stone and the wood carving, pottery and the metal craft, dolls and toys are the some of the well known the Manipuri handicraft. Since can and the bamboo are abundantly available, the basketry is the popular occupation of the people. The poetry, the folklore in the Andro, Sekmai, Siren, Tongzao, Nungbi, and the part of the Senapati district. Can and the bamboo craft, Kauna craft, and the pottery have the high potential of the growth in the state. Handloom is the largest cottage industry, and the state rank high in the term of the number of the loom in the country. The last, the number of the weavers, specifically women, are the employed in the handloom industry. Sericulture is the popular for the making the traditional wedding wear and other the dresses. The state's agro-climatic conditions are the also the suit that for the food processing industry. Women play the key the room in the socio-economical and the political life of the state. British administrator T.C. Hodgson, 1908. Have the details the account the regardings the economical role of women. The women hold the high and the free position in Manipur. All the internal trade and the actions of the product of the country beginning to managed by them. He had the said Ima Kethial, the women's the market is one of the Indian's largest market run and the managed by the women in the import for it items of the daily use. Ima Khatil is the unique the institutions and the symbols of the women employment. The market demonstrate the independence of the women who the dispute the hailings from well to do the family is. The purpose, they are the occupations. This is the space where the women the aspire their independence and the identity. The market is also the site of the two women's war for the Nipu land where the women that defeated the British. Made Pipes, women towards the beer are the groups of the women in the civil society of Manipur who the carry fire, the torches and the march the silently, the caving the vigil against the social the evils including the atrocities against the peoples and the human right violation. The water that drives it is the name from the May fire. Meraba Pibes have a large network and have been the leaders in the civilian movement. The fighting against the drugs abuse, the alcoholism, crimes against the women, and at the times the waging battles on the political issue. The Nuipi Land Women Wars. The fought against the British by the women of Manipur is the well known as the history. The first Nuipi Land 1904 was the revolt against the British administrations for inform enforcing the Lelu forest labor on the Manipuri men. The women protest and the raises the state bungalow of the British agent and set the market the stall in Khawaramband Bazar Ables during the Second World War in 1939. There was the another protest against the export of the rice from the state when it was the star of the family. Festivals and dances. The Manipur is the land of the diversity where the several cultural uh, ethnicities, ethnicities and the religions coexist. Hence, there are the several festivals celebrated throughout the year. The most popular celebration is the Yangsu Holi, which is the celebrated for the 5 days. The commencing from the full moon day of Hal Yona, February to March. The Thabel Chongba are the types of the Manipuri folk dance, where boys and girls hold the hands and the sing and the dance in the circle. Is primarily the associate with this the festival. Kud, also known as the Sawang Kud or the Kudu. Among the different tribes at the different place is the festival of the harvest of the cookies in Mizo group. The festival marked by the cultural events such as the traditional dance, song, sport, and the fashion show in observed on the 1st November every year. The Gang Nagai is the festival of the Cowboy Nagas, which is the celebrate for the first days is in the December on the January and the compresses the common phrase. Dances of the old men and the women, boys and girls are and the presentations of the farewell gift extra. Lui Nagai ni the Swaying festival is the collective festival of the Nagas, observed on the 15th day of the February and the market by the gathering, songs, dances, and rejoicing. Seraba is the Mithai New Year, which is the celebrated by the offering the special festival dishes to the deities during the festival. As a part of the ritual entails the peoples to the climb the nearest the hilltops in the belief that it will enable them to the rise to the uh, get at the height in their lives. The Kang Rath Jatra. The parallel to the Rath Yatra in the Puri is one of the greatest religions, the festival of the Hindus, and is the celebrated for the 10 days in July. Hekru by Hitongba is the celebration in the month of the September when the narrow boats, the carrying items of the Lord Vishnu are the rowed by the number of the rovers in the rivers for the canals is also the popular the Sakoba, the celebrate on the second day in the month of the Hyangay. November is the special festival of the Mithais, when the Ningol or the married the sister or the girls are the invited to the fast and the offered gift in their parental home. The festivals play a great role in the strengthening the bond of the Mithai solidarity. Christmas is the biggest the festival for all the Christians in Manipur, which is the observed with the joy and the gaiety. It is also the celebrated with the equal the enthusiasm by Muslim in the state. Shanghai festival is the organized every year in the Manipur from the 21 to 30 November to the showcase the uniqueness of the rich, the culture, the heritage of the state. The time that the tourism, the festival is the combinations of the variety of the event, art, handloom, uh, cuisines, craft, fairs, and the cultural show from within and the outside the state and the country are the uh, original organized. Dances and the music are a way of the life for the people of Manipur. Dances are the associated with the details and the festivals and are the performed in the temple, accompanied by the vocal music and the instrument. And these are also the associated with the ceremonies and the rituals like the birth of the child, marriage, and the Sharadha, last retails Isra. These the dance have the soft steps and are the graceful living and the emotional impact on the devotees. Lai Harabwa is the performance during the March and April in the temples of Umanglai, the Silavan gods and goddess of the valley in the stick the accordions with the yearly tradition. The Pung Kuloms is the unique the classical dance which is the soil of the uh, Sankirtana music and the dance the tradition. The dancer play the Pung drum while the dancing the dance is the marked by the gentle rhythms which they gradually the board of the vigorous movement. Dancer use the acrobatic effect without the breaking the rhymes of flow of music. It borrows the element from the Manipuri material arts. Thangta, the Sarit Sarek are the traditional Maibi Zagoi dance. Nupapala is the group the performance of the males who wear the large white turbans and sign and the dance with Meridiana and the phone. It is the performance in the accordions with the Vaishnav tradition Raslila. The epitome of the Manipur dance form is the performance depicting scenes of the Raslila of Radha Krishna. It is the performance in a group of Krishna, Radha, and the Radha friend, the Shakis. Traditionally, it is the performance in the mangrove of the temples on the night of Mera Purnima. Full moon, the Khamba Thoibi is the duet dance from which tells the stories of the Khamba, or the poor brave lad of the Kuman Karen who fell in the lap with the Thoibi, the princess of the Moirang. Thang Yanamba is the martial act who is the show the skill of the self-defense using the sword in the continuous series of the aggressive and the defensive gesture and the artist movement of the body. The tribal dance are the part and the parcel of the Manipur's dance form. These dance forms are the closely related to the nature. The men's wear the colors loincloth around the hip and the scape with the multicolored colored band the courses on the sash hanging down so the front and the back and they are carried down the spear in the hand. The dancer of the Nagas are the very popular in the Hangsangaf. The boy and the girls from the circle beginning the dance with the solo movement and the increasing the tempo gradually in the Tunaga Lomna. The girls and the boys the make the pairs and the dance in the circle facing is the other. And the hang naga tuna boys and the girls from the two parallel row and the dance. The hands are the clasped by the two opposite each other. The dance the sanglam is the performed only by man the forming in the circle and the moving the forward and the backward while they move the everyone should ho ho ho. The Lusai guards of the Surasandupur perform a the beautiful dance called the Serao bamboo dance. Language and literature. Manipur or the Mythilian is the official language of the state and is the recognized under the 8th schedule of the constitution. Manipuri language had it is the one the script which is the known as the Mithai Mayak. The Manipuri language is also the written in the Bangla script. There are many the dialect spoken in the state. Yes, the every tribe has it is the on the dialect, all of which are the written in the Roman script. The Manipuri literature is the enriched with the short stories, novels, dramas, and the poems written by the several writers from the 19th century onward. In the pre-independence, the period the Kha Sambhav Singh 1885 to 1950 historical novel. Labhanglata is considered to be and the outstanding work in the Manipur. The L. Kamal Singh the Madhwavi 1930 is the recognized as the first modern Manipuri novel. His the collections of poems called the Lal Parang 1931 is the accommodated to be the most significant political work of the century. The Dorandrozit Singh in 1907 to 44 is the another pioneer poet and the dramatists who is the were the included three dramas, namely the Moirang, Toibi, Bhagya Chandra, and the Kaurav Pranjay, and two epic poems, namely Kansabada and the Subandra Haran. The Manipuri poet and the authors in the pre-independence period mainly dwelt on the mythological and the religious themes. The modern Manipuri literature in the post-independence period has the diversified to include the social and the political themes such as the aggression, the conflict identity, darkness and the traditions in the changing times. Renewed poet E. Nilkanto Singh's the poetry the Tirtho Yatra on him the Sahitya Academy Award. He S. Guno Singh, R. K. Silajit, L. Ram Singh, Tayobi Devi, and either Doranjot Singh 1907 to 44 in the another Poiner poet and the dramatic whose the work the included three the dramas namely the Moirang, Thoibi and the Bhagya Sandra and the Kaurav Pranjoy and two epic poems namely the Kansha Badha and the Shubhadra Haran. The Manipuri poets and the author is the pre-independence period mainly, dwelt of the mythological and the religions themes. The modern Manipuri literature in the post-independence period has the diversity to the include the social and the political themes such as the aggression, conflict, identity, darkness, and the transitions to the changing times. Rivanet, poet the E. Nikanto Singh's the poet the Tirtho Yatra on the hymn, the Sahitya Academy Award. S. Guno Singh's R. K. Shilajit, L. Ram Singh, Toibi Devi, and the M. K. Binodhini Devi are some of the prominent modern the novelists. Women the novelists have the depicted the fans and the agony of the women due to the class and the caste system, royal culture, etc. Two of the most acclaimed features the films Ishanao and the Imagi Nine Themes are the best on the short stories of M.K. Binodini. The state is the credit with the successful film industry which has the involved in the last three decades and the produced the large number of the features films as well as the documentaries Madam Gi Manipuri, the first Manipuri features the film produced. In the 1972 won the Best Features the film awarded at the 20th National Film Award during the last 30 years. The film from the Manipuri have won the 9 international award and the 10 national award. The Image in 1982 received and the award for the best features film in the regional language at the 29th National Film Festival, as also the biggest the Grand Prix award for the best features film. Padma Shri Aribam Shyam Sharma is one of the famous film director and the composer. Isha Now 1990s, the direct by the Aribam Shyam Sharma won the and the award at the Cannes International Film Festival. History. The Mahabharata, the reference of the Arjun visit to Manipur and is the marriage with the princess, the Citrangada is well known that during his second visit to the Manipur, Arjun is said to have been the defect by his own son, the Bhaburbadan. Manipur is the fabled is that the find the mention in the Mahabharata, the uh, archaic literature of the Meithis, the largest community of the state, preserved in the form of the Citra Citrarol, Kundra Baba, or the Royal Chronicles. The claims and uh, unit 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 reports the lines of the king signs the 33 AD. However, the Manipur they appear to have the image as well as established kingdom under the king the Kamba in 1467 to 1506. The general features of the peoples are the Mongoloid, but there are also some that trace of the Aryan fisheries. They are the believed to have the originally migrate from the territories in the north near the three junctions of the Tibet, China, Myanmar, and come to the country through the mountainous region east of Assam. This the eastern the migration mixed with the peoples the coming from the west and the old nomadic tribes has led to an ethnic evolutions of the present day the Meithis in the valley. Originally, these were the seven principalities in the valley, namely the Nainthwaza, Angom, and the Kuman, Moira, Luang, Sara, Sarak, Leisantam, and the Khaba Nagbara is of the seven clans had and the independence the principality and the while the defect regions in the valley. Gradually in the ninth was a clan group. It is the dominance and the adopted the Meithis titles which the now the appeals to all the seven clans. During this the period of the evolution, the hills were the occupied by the peoples of uh, others the tribal identities such as the Nagas, bearing the ethnic the similarity with their the uh, brethren in the today Myanmar. In the north and the east and the Kukis, Sign tribes in the south and the north southeast. Naga tribes have been more the aesthetic and the territories bound. By the early the 15th and the 16th century, the Manipur was the distinguished by the presence of the while the developed the formal powers, the struggle and the cultural symbols. The associations of the Meithis with the kingdoms of Pong, located between the frontier of the Yanam in China and the Burma, Find the mention in the royal chronicles from the times of the early 15th century. However, the notable kings who the extend the foreigners of Manipur to the banks of the Irrawaddy River in the Burma was the uh, Pamhibia or the Raja Garib Niwas 1714 to 55. He is also the credit with the cultural transformations of the Mithai uh, peoples by the accepting Vaishnav Hinduism. The latter, the period of the 150 years in the history is the repelled with the incident of the successive Burmese inventions and the Manipur's attempts to the overthrow the dominations. The Burmese king uh, Alungpaya inhabited the Manipur in the 1752 and occupied the kingdom. The Manipur region, it is the freedoms with the help of the kingdoms of the Tripura and Assam. However, the internal squabbles in the Manipur's royal family led to the suffer another Burmese occupation from the 1890 to 26 called the Saiterat Kuntakpa or the 7 years devastation. All through the kingdoms the continue to be the embattled with the Burma for the largest part of it is the history. It grow as the martial race and the cultural advanced society during this period. People had the accurate the important skill as the textile uh, weaver, the silversmiths, the horse riders, painters, etc. The soldiers were the highly valued as the skill cavalry. By the middle of the 19th century, the English had established themselves as the uh, paramount the power in India. The British gained the initial the foothold in the Manipur. Following the request of the kings for help in their hostility with the Burma first during the region of the Raja Bhagya Chandra 1763 to 98, and the latter during the reign of the Maharaja Gambhir Singh 1826 to 54. This period was almost marked by the remarkable contributions by the two kings to the growth of Manipur as the culturally advanced and the politically strong states. The English who had their own the independent scores or to the settle with the Burma in the course of their colonial expansions made the overturners to Manipur, but solely assumed the royal of and the arbiters in the relations between the Manipur and the Burma. The relations between Manipur, Burma, and the British can to be the determined largely by the Treaty of Yandebu 1826, signed between the British and the Burmese, under which the king the uh, title or to the Manipur throne was the requisitioned, but the territorial dispute the persisted. The beginnings in the political status of the Manipur in the Treaty of the Yandebu Gulf and the opportunity to the British to interfere in it is the affair through the political agent. The British began the hereafter to the exercise the larger influence in it is the political and the foreign relation. This the culminate in the Manipur revelations of the 1891 when their British officers were killed in the conflict. This the result in and the open the warfare and the seizure of the Manipur thrown by the British, and it is the annexations into the British India. The Kuki, the uprisings also form a part of the history of the Manipur. The inhabitants of the hills, the compresses, the numerous, the ethnic groups, the having the different, the tribal, the affiliations, they are the broadly categories as the Nagas or the Kukis. The Kukis included all the Kukis as the Aimol, Sote, Siru, and the Koireng, Kong, Anal, Lamkang, Mayong, Monsang, Gangte, and the Bhaifia, and knew the cookies such as the Thados, Smithy, and the Petit, Hamar, Joe, etc. Since 1907, after the British and the become and de facto the rules of the Manipur in the April 1891, the British political agent began and to the exercise powers of the Maharaja or the presidents of the Manipur state Durbar, which was the traditionally ruled by the pharaoh's head of the chieftains in the Cookies areas. The British have the first blow to the traditional administration through the introductions of the compulsory house the tax on every household irrespective of their status in the hill village. This was the uh, resentment by the fellowship as it interfered with their authority. The British also started raising free uh, labor called the potang, is the compulsory form of the labor for the village by the turn. This affected every single individual in the hills. The enforcement of the armed licensing controlled by the British in hill areas, all through the aimed at the controlling law and the order, uh, infuriated the cookies feathers. The firearms were the very popular among the cookies who used them for the hunting and the protection. The last major event was the outbreak of the World War I, which led to the British imposing the compulsory levy of the 2,000 non uh, combatant porters to be the raised from the Manipur. They were to be employed in the labor battalion in the France and England. These serve as the trigger for the general uprising among the cookies known as the cookie rebellions upon the call of the cookie chiefs of Mombi and the Naglungkhup. They the defect both the Maharaja and the British and went to war against the British. The revolution spread in all the cookie inhabitant areas of the state. The adjacent areas of the Sin Hills present by the Myanmar and also the neighboring Kasar Hills of Assam. The revolution started in May 1917 and it took 2 years for the British to control it. The Manipur has been the principal the overland route for the trade between the Indian and Myanmar since the olden times during the World War II. It was also the arena of three fiercest the battles between the Japanese and the Allied forces. The Indian National Army (INA), led by the Subhash Chandra Bose, entered the Manipur and the torches the Moirang during this period, but had to the retreat after the Japanese separate Reverence in the World War II, the Netaji hosted the national flag at the Moirang on 14 April 1944. The INA, the Meteors, the memorial complex stand in the Moirang. After the liberation from the British, the Manipur merged with the Indian in 1949 as per the Manipur Constitution Act 1947. It they enjoyed the status of the Union territories for about 25 years uh, uh, till 1972 when it became the full flag state. Natural vegetation and biodiversity. Forests consisting of the short and the tall trees cover about the 77% of the total geographical area of the state. The state has the four the river the basins, the Borak River Basin, Borak Valley in the west, the Manipur River Basin in the central Manipur, U River Basin in the east, and the potential of the Lyonnais River basins in the north. The Borak River, the largest in the state, the originate in the Manipur hills and is the joined by the tributaries such as the Airang, Maku, and the Tuibhai. The Manipur River basin has the eight major rivers: the Manipur, Impol, Airel, Nambol, Sekmai, Sekfi, Taubal, and the Khuga. All these the rivers the originate from the surrounding hills. The state has the subtropical monsoon climate. The period from the June to September accounts for the little over half half of the annual rainfall. The rainy seasons the start in the April and the continuous till the September October. Sometimes there is the considerable amount of the pre-monsoon rain. The annual rainfall ranges between the 1100 millimeters and the 3500 millimeters. The range is the normally abundant and the almost equally disturbed throughout the state. Though there is some the variations between the hills areas that normally receive higher rains than and the valley areas. Ecological Northeast India the forms the part of the South Asian tropical rainforest belt, which is the known for it is the uh, infinite varieties of the wild plants and the animals. The forests in the Manipur have the distractions of the having the wide range of the types comparatively in the small geographical area. The teak, peak, oak, uh, Unicto, Leihau, bamboo, and can are the important plants, and the tree grew or grown in the hills area. In addition to the rubber, tea, coffee, orange, and the cardamom are the grow in the hilly area. These forests and the numerous Champas and the valley in the state are the home to wheat range or the flora and the fauna. The Kaibo Lampozo National Park, situated in the southeast fringes of the Loktak Lake, is the only home of the marsh dueling bro athlete deer, Shanghai, Carves LD of Manipur, is a variety of the migratory bird from the palace as far as the Siberian visit the Loktal Lake and other lakes in the valley every year. The state is also the home to the approximately 500 variety of the orchid. Some eminent personalities. Uh, Taken Ranjit Singh, 1856 to 1901, was the commander of the Manipur army and the leader of the Palace's revolution that led to event known as the Anglo-Manipur War of 1891, called the Lion of Manipur. Taken Ranjit the fearlessly fought the British. After the war, he was arrested and executed by the British. Along with this is the co-warrior Kulasandra and the Thangal general. The ground in the Imphal where was the hanged has been renamed as a Bir Tiken Ranjit Park. The Manipuri they observed 23 May, the day of his hanging, as the Patriots Day. Rani Gaidinulu, the Kaibu Naga from the Rongimei tribes, was born on 26 January 1915. In the Tamenglong district, she joined the movement that licensed by the Jodanang, the Naga leader from the Tamlang, against the British at the age of the 13. In the December 1932, the Gai Ding Lui was arrested and sentenced to the life imprisonment from the 1933 to 1947. She was in the several jail in the Imphal, the Shillong, Aizawl and the Tura. Until the independence, the Jawaharlal Nehru, who had met her at the Shillong jail in 1937, had described her as the daughter of the hills and called her the Rani, Queen. For the peoples, after the release, they continued to work for the upliftment to the Jelingprong people and died in her birthplace, the Longkau, on the 17 February 1993 at the age of the 78. The Indian Coast Guard Commissioner, it is the issued patrol vessel by the namings is the Rani Dinglung. The vessel is the first of it is the kind to be the name after a freedom fighter from any state of India. Hizam Irabato Singh, the politician and the social activities, was one of the founders, leaders of the Commonwealth Party of the Indian in Manipur in the 1939. When the second Newfoundland broke out in the Manipur, she was arrested and deported to the Sylhet jail and was released on the 20 March 1943. Irobot returns to the Manipur in the March 1946 when he formed a new party called the Manipur Puraja Mandal and the Manipur Kishok Sabho. Although elected to the first Manipuri State Assembly, his activities were considered prejudicial to the state by the Manipur State Council, and he was forced to stay out of the state in Kasar. The continued to the work for the peasant movement and the form and the underground Communist Party of Manipur on 29 October 1948 to carry out of the armed struggle against the movement. He died on the 26 September 1951 at the foothills of the Anglo Hills. Mary Kom and the Olympian has made the Manipur and the country proud from the farmer's daughters to and the Olympic bronze medalist in 12 2012 2012 as a 5 times the uh, consecutive winner of the world championship in boxing. She has the sense by the uh, perceptions about the boxing as the male sport. She was repeatedly won the several silver and the gold medals at the World Women's Boxing Championship. She is the first woman to win the Asian Women's Boxing Championships for the 3 years in the row for the her the singular achievement. She has been the best within the Arjun Award 2003, Padma Shri 2005, and the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award, the highest honor in the sport in the Indian 2008. The Hindi film titled Mary Kom, based on her the autobiography Unbreakable, was the made in 2013. Mary is also called the Magnificent Mary by the International Boxing Association. She is Rani Devi. The master weaver has in the iconic status in the handloom industry of the state. Her the contributions to the field of the handloom industry has been the well recognized as well. Good quality silk in the Manipur is known as the Rani Fi. She used to wear the traditional garment for the women like uh, Mapal Nayaba Phenek from the Sherong, which is usually worn during the marriage. She the specialist in the weaving the cotton and the silk silk sadors, shari and the surnis and the appliqued work where she the use her the uh, artistic uh, imaginations to the develop new the designs and the patterns. Born in 1932 in the Wangkelai locality of the Impal town, Rani imparted training to the hundred of the weaving, and the many of her the student have the already won the award in the uh, artistic textile. For her the work, she had won the numerous award and the citation. Ratan Tiam the renewed dramatic has the established Manipur on the drama map of the Indian. Tiam is the multifaceted artist, music composer, choreographer, and the uh, playwright, the printers, and the poet. At the graduate in the dramatic arts from the National School of Drama (NSD), New Delhi. He rose to be the director of the NSD and also the vice chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy. He received the Sangeet Natak Academy Award in 1987 and the Padma Shri in 1989. He the founder, he the found the famous theatre groups named the Choras. Repertory theatre in the Impol in 1976, which has been the home to some of his the reputed theatre show, namely the Uttar Priyadarshi, Ritu Samahar, and the Manipuri trilogy. Places and places of interest. INA Memorial is the situated at the Moirang in the Bishnupur districts of the Manipur. It is a memorial built in the memory of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, freedom fighter and leader of the Indian National Army (INA) in the World War II. When he recessed the Moirang and unfurled the national flag for the first times on the Indian soil. The memorial has a the museum and a the library where the weapons, maps, literal photographers and books that related to the Netaji are the preserved. Loktak Lake is the largest freshwater lake in the northeastern region. The wetland is the swampy and is home to the number of the species including the Shanghai, the unique the Broadland deer, which is also known as the dancing deer. The biggest island is located at the Sandra, from where the peoples can hear the beautiful view of the lake and the whom the floating masses of the water hyacinth. The freshman and they are the family's life in this the floating masses which the makes the view the spectacular. It is the one of the most attractive tourism spot. Cabo Lampazong National Park is the floating sanctuary of the rare the bird and the animals. It is the only the national park in the north in the world made of the floating masses of the grass. Sri Govindaji Temple, Sri Govindaji Temple is the most famous temple of the state and is situated in the Impol near the palaces which was the construct after the relocations of the kings from the Kangla, the old the citadel. The deities in these temples are the Radha Krishna. The temple has the rectangular medieval style the structure with the last the courtyard, Rashlila, Yamshang and other the religions and social festival functions of the Manipur are the celebrated in the courtyard of the temple. What the cemetery in the Impal the maintained by the Commonwealth is the memorial of the officers and others the ranks of the Indian Army who the sacrificed their lives during the World War II. It is well the maintained with the row of the stone and the bronze marker. Sorry, not a marker on which they are the name with the bribe the introductions on them are the inscribed Impa Kaital at Kairamband Bazaar is the unique the shopping center where only the women the shopkeepers sell their products. The Siroi lily rare the species of the lily found on the Siroi peak of the Ukharul district 2568 meters above the sea level is on the beds of the exhibitions the flowering times of this lily is the May June The flower has the combination of the seven color and the looks brown in the sunlight. Khanke lime the caves are also the situated in the Ukraul district. More is the Sandal district is the border towns with the Myanmar. It is the only the feasible land route for the trade between the Indian and the Myanmar and other the Southeast Asian countries, which is the great Asian the countries, which is the great tourism attraction and either regarded as the Indian gateway of the East. Manipur is the distinguished by it is the ethnic diversities, the historical link with the Vaishnavisms, and the remarkable roles played by the women in all the aspects of the society. The state is the microcosms of the modern India, where the different communities have tried to find here the space is the composite culture. The locations of the state on the axis of the trade route of the Southeast Asian gives it is the unique the advantage and the importance in the country. Thank you so much.